Well, a very, very good evening to you. A warm good evening to you on this wonderful Thursday evening. This is the Open Door Show. Obviously, if you thought you were somewhere else, you're not. You're here. You're at the Open Door Show. My name's Richie Clapson, and I'm here with the other half of Property CEO, Mr. Ian Child. Do you want to say good evening, Mr. Ian Child?
Good evening. Hope you're all well. Good to have you here on this very windy day.
Absolutely. As Ian says, good to have you with us. Over the next 45 minutes, as always, we're going to be taking a deep dive in and around the world of property. Isn't that right, Mr. Child?
It certainly is. We're going to be covering some of the latest news items, talking to some of the movers and shakers on Open Door, give us a bit of an inside track as to what's happening in the wonderful world of property generally, and also shining a spotlight on things that we think might be good. A good opportunity for new developers to get into.
And there we go. That's what he says. Look, but above all, we always say this every single week. We're here to have a bit of fun, okay? Because life's just difficult out there, isn't it? Sometimes. But hopefully, 2022 is a good year, a lot better than the last couple. But as always, Open Door was set up just to have a bit of fun, have a bit of light relief in the week, and really enjoy it. But of course, we need you to join in. Without you there, I mean, if there was no one there, we'd be chatting away to this camera and there'd be no one there, but we can see you, we know you're out there, so you've got to put comments and of course questions in the chat box. So Ian, what are we up to this evening?
Well, we're talking about contractors. So I think we've all heard a few horror stories about contractors in our time, but of course they do have a massive say in the success of your projects. So Richie is going to be going deep into the bowels of his knowledge and wisdom and pulling out some top tips about how to deal with contractors. Isn't that right?
Allegedly so. So we'll have to I'll have to Google something on that very quickly and then see if I can put a little bit of a presentation together. So first of all, give us a hands up, give us a wave if you can see and hear both of us, please. Give us a hands up and a wave. Thank you very much. Look at all those hands going up. That's the most work you've got to do this evening so far, but please obviously put questions in. Michael says, what does Michael say? Bano Nasseria?
Yeah, it's from Sierra Leone. I think is it Spanish? Your Italian has come on, actually. I remember the very early versions of this show when it was frankly even more embarrassing than that. So well done. Buenos Aires, is that it? Buonasera, I think.
I think he spelt it wrong. I'm sure he spelt it wrong. Anyway, good evening, Michael. Good evening, Dan. He says, good evening, gents. Jonathan says, looking sharp in the haircut, Mr. R. Thank you very much. Yeah, for those amongst you who might have been on Open Door this morning, not Open Door, sorry, that was Q&A this morning. Students of ours would have noticed between now and then I've had a little trim. Smartened myself up all around. Apparently the back looks quite nice. He showed me that in the mirror. Anyway, Adam says, good evening. Good to be on the show. Looking forward to the chat this evening. Carolyn says, first time on the show. Good to see you guys. Good to meet you. I've listened to the podcast. Well, now you see us for real. You see, that's the trouble. People listen to podcasts. They didn't actually know we exist. Who's on the show? Joe's on, Monica's on, Jennifer's on, Kima's on, Maleshi's on, Ursula's on. Hello, Ursula. Charlotte's on. Chris was on, Dan, I mentioned him. Ricky's on, with two Ricky's on. Damien's on. Hello, Damien. Hopefully you're well. B's on. Jonathan's on. Well, we said Michael's on. Sam's on. Hello, Sam. Iddy's on. Cheryl's on. Roma and Richard. Hello, good evening. I'm assuming Roma and Richard. It could just be Richard. Could just be Roma. We don't know. Tim's on. Chinta's on. Harvey's on. Jamie's on. I'll tell you what we do. Why don't we do a 45-minute show just reading out the names of who's on? And I know it would be a lot easier than me putting content together, wouldn't it, Ian? What do you think?
It would. But then we wouldn't get to hear about your knowledge of contractors, would we?
No, that's true. Anyway, Ian, have we got some news items?
We have. Right. I thought actually today we'd have a little bit of news about what's sort of hot on in the property market. So and what landlords and developers should be looking at. So actually all of these coincidentally come from the Telegraph by complete coincidence. First one here I've got is about landlords scrambling to buy eco properties to avoid a 10K upgrade cost. So basically, they're trying to get in ahead of the new rules that come in, which basically say that rental properties have to be energy performance rating of C or above. So basically, landlords have flocked to more eco-friendly investments to make sure that they don't get stung, because if they don't manage to get their properties upgraded, then by the deadlines, which is I think EPC rating C by 2025, and then 2028 if you've got an existing portfolio. Basically, if you miss the deadlines, you get fined 30 grand, which is a chunk of change. But interesting from a development perspective, they say that investors are going to be focusing their strategy on buying new builds. So they want to basically hold rental properties that already have that EPC rating. So, and they think, yeah, new flats, new houses is the way to go there. So that's landlords. Some more news here about the kind of hotspots in the country. There's obviously, we've talked about before, lots of people having a bit of an exodus from the towns, and it's interesting. It's basically the sort of larger towns and cities outside of London that have seen this a really big increase in the number of people that are commuting. So and it's attracting a huge premium. So in some of those satellite villages and towns, Savills have said that the premium required to move out of the city to a commuter hotspot is 280%, which is quite incredible. So
where are the commuter hotspots, Ian?
Say again?
Where are the commuter hotspots?
Well, it's talking about the satellite towns of the big, conurbations, so Manchester, Birmingham, Leeds, and they're kind of pointing out the Savills report. They've done quite a lot of work on it, looking at the villages and the towns that are sort of dotted around. But yeah, that's where people are heading. And then
sell up and move into the town then.
Go the other way. And then I've got one for you, actually, Richie, here. Bungalow prices rocket as baby boomers retire, which is, I know, right up your street. So Britain's aging population, I don't think it's just you, has helped push up the price of bungalows at an even faster rate than the rest of Britain's buoyant property market. So what do you reckon the average price of a bungalow is?
374,000.
Ooh, not bad, £335,000. So basically, bungalows went up 11%, everything else went up 6% in the wider market, apparently. And they've jumped by almost a quarter in the last 5 years. And basically, the number of people over 80 is set to rise from 3.2 million to 5 million by 2032. So we are going to be needing a lot more bungalows. So if you wanted to know what to build, go for bungalows, satellite towns, and well, you're going to be building new anyway with a decent EPC rating. What's not to like? That was, oh, sorry. Hold on. That was the news.
Very good. Thank you very much. You're getting much better at this. Do you know bungalows? You talk about bungalows, and Mrs. C, she thinks a bungalow would be great. That would be her next move. Me, I'd go in a flat now. I do not like gardening. We used to have several acres and we got rid of all that lot and we've moved to a much more modest property now, but it's still got a blooming garden and a driveway and all these things need work on. I don't want to do any of that. And so I said, let's just go and buy a nice flat. She doesn't want to live in a flat. So we're in this sort of dilemma. She'd have a bungalow, but I don't want a bungalow because generally bungalows come with lots of garden and land. I don't want land because there's loads. You can go to land. You can go and sit in a nice pub or a park. There's land out there. You don't need to actually maintain land. I don't see any point to that. It's a complete nightmare. Don't get me started. Anyway, there we go. That's Mrs. C. Hopefully she's not listening. So we're going to be talking about how to find the right contractor this evening. And I can see a few of our students on this evening, and I can also see a lot of people on this evening that I don't recognize. So actually, give us a wave if you're brand new, first time on this evening. Give us a wave. Give us a hands up if this is your first time. Excellent. Few of you. Absolutely. Good. It's nice to see people find their way here. Well, you're very welcome, and you're in a nice, safe place, friendly environment. I saw someone put their hand up who's not new. Don't do that. Don't do that. I think that was Dan. Don't do that, Dan. You're not new. So this evening, finding the right contractor, which is important, okay? Whether you're thinking of getting into development or whether you're in development, a lot of people wonder about this contractor. And I think the announcement the team put out there about the secret to finding an honest, hard-working and committed contractor. Whew, that's a big ask, getting all those at once, isn't it? I mean, particularly the honest, hard-working. I mean, maybe even the committed one. But look, there are some definite things that you should be thinking about to do to get the right contractor. So there's a lot I'm going to run through. I'm going to do it fairly quick. There's a fair bit of content tonight, but I want to get that across. And this is just about finding contractors. Okay, this is literally step one. Step two would be tendering. Step three would be the project delivery. So there's a whole world out there, and you need to understand this stuff. So first of all, grab a pen and paper, write a few of these things down. If not, if you've got a good memory, then write these things down as well. Or, because your memory's not going to be that good, is it? Look, to start with, you want to go out to at least 5 contractors. So when you start, at least 5 as a minimum, because you want to end up with 3. So you've got to go out and talk to them. And what you want to do is actually share your plans. Go and build. We tell you this, and those that are new, you're going to start to get to know this. This industry is about relationships. You've got to build relationships with people, and contractors are no different. So go and share your plans with a contractor. If they think you're a bit of a one-off, that's it, you're just going to do one scheme and you're gone, are they that interested? What if you're actually going to say, look, I'm just getting into development, but I plan to go and go into this full time. I'm looking to do a project a year. Wow, that's quite an interesting client for a contractor. So go and share your plans, and share those plans with at least 5, and talk about long-term relationships. You are looking, and I think this is important. Dorothy says she can't hear anything. Ian, could you type a message back to Dorothy? Everyone else put their hands up. So put your hands up if you can still hear me, please. Put your hands up. Yes, they can. So it's just Dorothy. If you can let Dorothy know it's just her, and maybe she'll have to listen to the replay or log off and come back on. Sorry about that, Dorothy, but she can't hear us. Bless her. Never mind. Anyway, so going back to this. So you're looking for established contractors. You want to make a note of that. We don't want a contractor that's literally just started up, because it could be they've just gone bust. And a lot of contractors have a habit of doing it. And a track record of delivering projects as a principal contractor, okay, as a main contractor. So let's talk about that contractor. We're not looking for one-man bands. We're not looking for builders. My definition of a builder is a man in a van, or a lady in a van, okay, that generally is fairly hands-on. They'll be working on the project on site. They might be a carpenter, maybe they're a bricklayer, maybe they're a plaster, and then they bring the other trades in. They go out and quote in the evening, or they turn up in their van. No, I'm talking about a contractor, and the difference with a contractor is the person who turns up to give you the quote probably owns the business. They probably turn up in a car. They probably come in the day because they're not working. They might have been a plasterer, a decorator, the plumber, or whatever, but they've now moved up to a position where they control and run the business, okay? That's really important. Okay, so I want you to go, when we're talking about development, we're not talking about buy-to-lets, we're not talking about flips, we're not talking about HMOs. Okay, looks like Dorothy says, all okay now, reconnected. Dorothy, can you hear us? Hopefully she can. Yeah, that would be good if she can, wouldn't it? So basically, the point is you want them that actually they're going to be there and there to serve you and not disappear. What do you think happens when the man in the van, lady in the van, whatever, go on holiday? What happens then? Does your project stop? What if they're ill? What if they get something and they're off? Now, what happens? What if they have a problem on another project? Do they have to go over there? Well, probably a lot of you experience this on home extensions, or if you've done some buy-to-lets, suddenly you expect the contractor to be on site on Friday. He's not there because they're trying to juggle too many things. They also find it very difficult to manage their projects, to manage the program. Most of them aren't very good at that. The thing they find really difficult to manage, cash flow. A lot of those man in a van type characters will often turn up and go, well, by the way, I need an extra 20 grand to pay the lads to get some materials. That's not what you're going to do with a main contractor. With a builder, yes, you will. Ordering of materials, they struggle with that. They don't have big enough accounts. Valuations, what's a valuation? They don't understand that process, okay? And health and safety, I'm afraid, is also quite difficult. And how can they manage all of that stuff whilst working? Because they're there trying to earn their money, carving the wood or whatever it is you're going to do, laying the bricks, not writing up a health and safety plan. So when you're moving up to contracting, okay, and moving up to development, you are leaving yourself wide open if you work with builders. So please make sure you work with a contractor, what we call a principal and main contractor. And with that, when you're looking at these companies to try and understand, make sure, as I say, that they've got the owner turns up in a car, and in the business as well, they've got contracts managers, project managers, they've got competent site managers. Unfortunately, a lot of these builders turned as far as they're concerned, contractors that bring in the various trades, they're not necessarily competent site managers. And under CDM regulations, they probably would not survive. They wouldn't cut it. Now, you might think what they do at the moment, but the problem is when you go up to a bigger project and you've got more man hours on site and more people on site, then you come under the CDM regulations. And I've seen it too many times where builders then just fell. And you don't want that. You don't want problems on your site. Estimates, they're terrible at doing estimates. They don't have any buyers. Their buying technique is, oh, by the way, we've run out of wood, jump in the van and go and do it. Half the time they're not on site. You know, a main contractor has an accounts team. They have their own buyers. They have people doing this, and they have a trusted supply chain of specialist trades. Okay, that's what you want to look for. Now, here's an interesting question. Ask those contractors, if you go out there and ask the contractor, do you employ all your staff directly? Well, if they say yes, they're probably lying. Okay, they're probably lying because most contractors don't. It's not an efficient model. Or they employ, and then they might say, well, here's all the people on the cards. They might employ a bunch of what we call multi-trades, generalists. And a lot of contractors hold these people that go around and do snagging. They're not necessarily the best plumber. They're not necessarily the best carpenter. They're not necessarily the best electrician, but they can do bits across all of them. I think they call that a jack of all and a master of none. Okay, so they're okay as sort of sweeper-uppers and doing bits of snagging. But actually, no, you need specialist trades in a project. So ask a contractor, who does he employ? And I'll get the answer, because a lot of builders will say, yeah, I employ all my own people, and they're lying. Look at the company turnover. Okay, this normally is going to be a limited company because the turnover is getting up to reasonable levels. They're probably VAT registered. So go and have a look on Companies House. If you're not sure, get your accountant to have a look. See what their turnover was and what it's going to be. You know, try and project that. Try and see where the business has gone. You know, look at their assets. If you don't understand how to look at a balance sheet, get your accountant to have a look at it. And then think about the amount of work you're going to give them. Because if you're going to give them, I don't know, £1 million project, and they've only got £1 million turnover, you're giving them the whole of their year's work. That isn't really healthy, okay? You want to be probably about a quarter maximum. Somewhere around 15 to 20% is a nice balance of someone's work for that year, your project. So you're sort of one of 5 or 6 projects that they might have on. So you're important. When you ring the office, they know who you are, but you're not so important. You're the only project. And of course, projects have delays, things go wrong, and then suddenly they're in trouble, or they've got to overlap that with the next. You need a good, steady flow. Okay, so 15 to 20% of a project is quite good. And most contractors don't want you to be more. They don't want to have all their eggs in one basket. That's important. You also need to know when we're looking at these accounts that they are financially stable, because if they grow too quick, so if you're looking at a contractor and the contractor says to you, yeah, look, I only did £1 million last year, but I'm forecast to do 4 million this year, that is normally a bit of a warning, bit of a red flag, because what's likely to happen is all of their trade accounts won't grow at the same rate. If you go down to Jewson's and you've got a £10,000 trade limit, you know, you aren't suddenly going to better put that up to 40. Jewson's won't do that. What will happen then? That contractor will get into cash flow problems, and that is normally the problem with most businesses. We teach our students about cash flow because you as developers can fall into this trap as well, but many a contractor falls into it, and that's even when main contractors start asking for advance payments. And of course you won't get them. You can't get them because your funders won't let them. Commercial funders won't let them. Okay, really, really important. Speak to some of their clients, speak to some of their previous clients and get references. That is important. Go around their sites. I mean, even as a new developer, are they tidy? Do they seem organized? How are the teams? Speak to people. Speak with the subcontractors. They don't lie. Go and speak to the subcontractors, the plasterers. Go, how's it going? All good? Oh, no, there's, and they'll have a right old whinge if there's a problem. They're not filtered. They would tell you exactly how it is. Check insurances, okay? So you need to check they've got all the insurances in place, the right level of cover. You need that in place. Public liability, employer's liability, okay? All risks insurance. They're going to insure the works, the project as it sits there. If they're going to be doing elements of design, they need professional indemnity insurance to cover that. And they might be doing the mechanical, electrical. They might be designing the hot water systems or the electrics, okay? So the simplest way, there is a process in this industry. It's called a pre-qualification questionnaire. PQQ. That is issued by your project manager, and they pull that together for you and ask all those questions. Okay, and of course that response that you get back is going to be quite interesting. If you issue a big questionnaire, what happens to the builder, the man in the van? They give you a pretty poor response with coffee stains all over it. Main contractor, quite a nice bound document, all filled in with all the appropriate attachments. That statement, you know it, and you know how you do anything, I think, is how you do everything. That's what you want to see, because you want this quality of work. Ultimately, you're looking to get a minimum of 3 contractors on board. That's why you're trying to start with this 5 to get down to that place. And the important thing is you don't want to start with 9 or 10 or 12 and tender to that, because the contractors won't bother. If they think their chances are really limited, they probably won't bother. Okay. I think importantly, and maybe as a summary, your contractor is going to be the single biggest influence on the success or not of your project. The single biggest influence. So choose wisely. There we go. There's a bit of words of wisdom. I'm sure you've got some questions on that. I can see some questions in the chat box. Any more questions you've got, anything about contracting, please put them in there. If I've raised any thoughts on your mind or provoked anything, or of course, any other questions about development. Ian, have we got any questions in? Well, I know we have. Do you want to start with one?
I'm going to start one. I'm going to start with one from Chen. Good evening, Chen. And actually, Chen, to be fair, sort of asked this question before you had finished speaking, but says, evening guys, great show, thank you. I am new on here tonight, welcome, but have done some buy-to-lets and a flip and have all the relevant trades in place, electricians, plumbers, etc. Would you say it is okay to work with them on bigger developments? So I think, as you probably gathered now listening to Richie, the general answer there is no. Basically, small scale development, we're talking about something which is a step up from a flip. So working with that main contractor, not the jobbing builder, having a project manager. I mean, that's a real blessing on a small scale development. Generally on a flip, you're quite heavily involved. You're probably going to be the project manager. You may even be doing some of the stuff on site yourself. Who knows? But it's certainly a step up from that. And of course, the challenge with the flip is that you can't afford a main contractor, and you can't afford a project manager. As soon as that scale goes up, then you can. And it's basically, it's all about leverage. It's all about being able to be wealthy in time, as well as hopefully making a nice profit at the end and be wealthy in the traditional means. But it's I think the other thing that will happen, particularly with things like project management, if you don't do that, if you don't outsource it, then yeah, you could find yourself in a position where people are running rings around you, and you don't want that. So take a step up, and yeah, you can also take to a certain degree a step back. Chen, I hope that answers your question, Richie.
Good stuff. Comment in from B this evening, and B says, had too many problems with contractors, need to sort this out. Yeah, do you know there's no need, B? You don't have to be in that position. You know, one of the last projects I did, contractor, perfect. You know, done all the things that I've talked about there. We set it up right, fixed price lump sum, delivered the project absolutely perfectly, no problems at all. I didn't really have to get involved. He was run, he did everything, the right quality standards, all within budget. You know, you can do these things. The problem is, Pete, too many people in this industry sort of accept that, oh, these contractors are a problem. And do you know why, B? That's because most people aren't educated to know how to do this properly. I mean, I've just given you a quick overview of this tonight to get you thinking and get you, probably thinking of the art of the possible, that it is possible. And I think it's important that you know that you can do this stuff. You can control the contractors. How you secure them contractually, I've not even touched on that tonight, because I said there's a whole process. This is just about finding contractors. There's tendering and there's project delivery. You know, finding the right one in the first place is important, but of course tendering and delivery is important. So B, no reason why you should get this wrong. You just need to know how to get it right. Tom's question. Tom says, where is the best place to start looking for these contractors? Generally in the pub on a Friday night, Tom. Now, actually, to be fair, that's where you're going to find the builders. That's not where you'll find contractors, okay? And the best place to find contractors. So I'll give you an example. Today, I had a lunch today. I was out at a lunch up in Wiltshire, and there were contractors in the room, okay? There were no vans in the car park, okay? There was no vans with ladders on. There wasn't these contractors with, do you know the trousers with all the pockets in? They didn't have those. They didn't need them, okay? They were there, you know, suited and booted, nice pair of jeans and a jacket or whatever. They're there at a lunch networking do, and this is not a property networking do. I mean, I'm not knocking property networking do's, but generally, when you're out there fishing and trying to find these people, Tom, get out to business networking do's. This was a business networking lunch. There's about 30 or 40 of us having a nice lunch in a golf club up in Wiltshire. Very, very nice, very, very enjoyable. And there were contractors in the room. That's where you want to be. Okay, that's the best place to start looking. Tom B, hopefully that's helpful. Ian.
Right, we've got one here from Manifa. Hello, Manifa. I listened to the recording on YouTube of last week's show and heard your guest mention that he thought the traditional way of building a buy-to-let portfolio is dead and small development is now the way to do it. Sorry, but I didn't understand what he meant. Okay. Yeah, so last week we had Adam Lawrence on from Partners in Property, and that was his view. Adam is kind of a serial landlord, several hundred properties in his portfolio, and a kind of bit of a thought leader in the industry. So a well-respected guy. And I think what his message basically was about rising markets. So back in the day, a sort of vanilla buy-to-let portfolio was absolutely a rising market. It was a great place to be. Lots of things have happened, particularly over the last 5 or 6 years with taxation, with regulation, and that journey looks set to continue. And so it's no longer a rising market anymore. And he was speculating, I think, as to what was going to happen to property prices, all of that sort of stuff. So I think his point was that when you're investing, when you're speculating, then speculate in something where it is a rising market. And what he said was that when you look around, development is the place where that rise is happening currently. So lots of things kind of combining to kind of make particularly smaller projects quite attractive. And I think one of his key points was that it's quite attractive for landlords in a number of different ways, because it's not a massive leap from what a lot of landlords do anyway, in terms of if they are perhaps creating HMOs or refurbing their properties before they rent them out, then this is kind of perhaps a bit of a natural progression. So that was I think the point that he was making, that try and get into a rising market. Hope that answers it, Mike.
And if anyone out there didn't hear, it was a really interesting chat last week with Adam Lawrence, a big portfolio holder. So, I mean, this guy got several degrees. Well, apparently, I think he bought them. But a very educated guy, worth listening to. A lot of people listen to him in the industry. And if he's saying something, then it's definitely worth paying attention. Go back onto YouTube, type in YouTube Property CEO, and you can listen to all the past episodes, but that one is particularly worth a listen and hear those comments there. Okay, next question. Pete says, aren't you going to end up just paying lots of overheads with a bigger contractor? I would suggest stay small, working with the single trades and make more money. Pete, don't do that. Pete, don't do it. Okay, that's wrong. In my very, very strong opinion, Pete, and I'm known to be quite opinionated on these things. The problem is, if you're looking at this, and if remember Ian just talked about, if you get into flips, you're in that sort of middle ground, and that's why it's quite difficult. And you make 30 or 40 grand. We're talking, Pete, we're talking about small scale development. And I don't know, I know that some of our students, they know exactly what this is, but people out there that are maybe new to the show, maybe new to development. So maybe some of you are just thinking about dipping your toe in the water, thinking about development. Maybe you're transitioning in from your buy-to-let portfolios, as Ian said, a lot of people are, and Adam was suggesting. We're talking about making six-figure sums. We're talking about 100, 150, 250,000, okay? When we get up to this level, you have money in this deal to pay people. You should be doing what you would do best, Pete. And if you learn how to do this is what we teach our students. When you learn how to actually go and find deals, pull deals together, pull teams together, be the CEO of a property company, that's where you make your money. Not running around looking after small contractors, babysitting them, causing all the problems. That is the wrong mindset. You've got to get out of that. Okay, you've got to get out of, yes, in theory you might make a bit more money, but it's peanuts compared to what you can make stepping up into small scale development and going out and finding your next project. It's just a false economy trying to, it's almost a sort of as you know, a small flip mentality. And I don't mean that disrespectfully, Pete, but I just want to start getting you to open your eyes. Just trying to be, just be open-minded to this and listen. Okay, maybe come and join us. We've got a training session. I'll give you, Pete, grab a pen and paper. I'll give you a link at the end. Come and join us for a half day for free. Come and spend some time with us. Okay, because I think you might open your eyes to actually something which is maybe you've not thought of. So, but no, I think you're wrong on that front, and I want to try and convince you otherwise. There we go. Ian.
Thank you. Got one here from Rachel. Hi, Rachel. You mentioned insurances, but I wouldn't really know what was needed. So how can I check this? Okay, a couple of ways, and you should do both. First is have a chat with your project manager. They will be able to give you some guidance on what you need. The other thing is to speak to an insurance broker, but make sure that you are speaking to a property development, or at least a property insurance broker, somebody that is very familiar with the types of insurance that you're going to need on development projects. So yeah, it's luckily for you, you don't need, it's not something you need to do a massive amount of research on, because your PM will have a really good idea of what's needed, and your broker will have a whole range of options. And then you will be able to just use their expertise, their collective expertise, to go out and get all the insurance that you need. Rachel, I hope that helps.
Good stuff. Ricky, good evening, Ricky. We've got a couple of Rickies on. This is Ricky Z. So you know who you are. Good evening, guys. Both looking well. Yeah, I guess we are not looking too bad, are we? Couple of good-looking fellas, to be fair. One with a decent haircut, that's for sure. We are looking at a development to add 2 additional floors to a 3-story building, but the build is already 30% complete. Do you think we will struggle to find a contractor to finish the build? It is, Ricky, that is a challenge. Okay, so what you've got is a part-built building. You're presumably you're taking that over and you're going to try and add some extra floors on it. The problem with it is, I'm assuming that the old contractor's gone, whoever's done what he's done, or whether they've gone bust or the developer's gone bust or whatever, you're taking this thing over. I'm assuming that's what happens here. What you're going to get when you get a contractor turn up and you say, oh, are you okay to take this over? You'll get this, ooh, you know, and they'll be breathing in through their teeth and thinking about it, and they'll have pound signs in their eyes. And you know, to an extent, that's perfectly reasonable, because they've got to warrant the project. You're going to, at the end of the day, Ricky, you're going to want to have, I'm assuming you're going to sell these on, okay? And you know, even if you're not going to sell it on, you want to think about that as an exit that you might have to, in which case you probably want a homeowner's warranty, you know, NHBC type structural warranty. The contractor's got to buy into that, and the contractor's got to warrant some work. So what work is the contractor warranting? Where is the cutoff point? If the contractor's building more stuff on top of what's already there, if it fails, what bit fails? Is it the old stuff that fails or the new stuff? And how do you prove that? The other interesting thing, Ricky, is the structural engineer. So you've got to get a structural engineer to justify that actually what's been built, and can we get the extra floors on it? Sometimes you can't. Okay, if you've got a we're looking to add 2 floors to a 3-story building, not always possible, but let's assume it is. Again, if you haven't got the original structural engineer, you're going to get the new structural engineer to warrant the old structural engineer's work, or have a defined cutoff point. All of this is entirely possible, but it's about defining boundaries of what people are responsible for. That does make it slightly tricky with warranties, and it does make it tricky with nailing down your contractor and, of course, associated funding. What you might find, if you don't nail this down properly, Ricky, is you'll get on site and then the contractor will go, oh, well, we didn't expect that. Now we've uncovered this, and all that first fix electrics is out. That's no good. That's all done wrong. And this is, you've got to pin them down on this. You've got to have a professional team. You've got to work with a professional team. You've got to be the CEO when you run these types of development, because they're rung rings around you otherwise, these contractors. More often than not, it's like anything, Ricky, there's several ways to do things. And they might look at something and they go, oh, I wouldn't have done it that way. But there's nothing wrong with it. I don't have to rip it out. But of course, you know, they're saying to you, oh, that doesn't work. That ring wains all around the wrong way. It's back to front. Oh, is it? Oh, right. So you need backup. You need strong backup to say, no, what is there is adequate to work on. And Ricky, what I suggest is you get the warranty company involved in those discussions. Make sure you've got a project manager that's overseeing this for you, and pin everything down. Spend more time getting your contract sorted so there's no surprises, okay? Make sure you do that. So Ricky, it's not impossible, okay? The difficulty is when you talk about struggling to find a contractor, if contractors have got a lot of work on, is your project's a bit tricky? Is that going to be an appetite for them? Well, it is if they get paid enough for it. So that's where it's going to be. It's going to be down to numbers probably. Hope that helps, Ricky. Ian, come on.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I thought it was quite a long one there, wasn't it? Then you dropped off. Yeah. This one is from Kathy. Hi, Kathy. Do you think other developers will talk to me to tell me what a contractor is really like, especially because I would be brand new? Why would they waste their time? I think that goes back to one of the points you mentioned earlier on, Richie. Yeah, no, for sure. There's clearly going to be a little bit of tension there. There, you are a competitor. I think at the end of the day, Richie made the point earlier. It's all about relationships in all different spheres in property development, but it's no exception when it comes to the competition. So if you're rubbing shoulders with people that are in your same area, perhaps looking at the same, for the same opportunities, certainly building in the same patch, then yeah, you're not going to sort of drop them an email and just ask them outright for some information on an individual. What you're going to do is to be able to kind of network and build personal relationships with people kind of on the ground. So I think what you want to do is to be able to work out where people in the industry meet locally, and typically in most places there is some form of kind of social interaction, whether it's kind of organized or whether it's a bit unofficial and it's just like a group of, there'll be developers, there'll be agents, other people from the industry that get together once in a while. See if you can work out, what's going on there. Ask around, ask among your professional team, so that you can basically just get into a situation where, you start to build relationships. Even better if it's kind of a sort of a social thing rather than a work thing. And I don't think, they're going to be necessarily your best friend, but at the end of the day, if you're speaking to other developers about contractors, then a lot of developers actually work with the same contractor, fairly obviously. And actually, they might say, they might not mention them at all because they don't want to have any competition for the work. But on the other hand, for a lot of developers, they're not going to be using that contractor exclusively. And if it's a good contractor, they might be quite happy to almost give a recommendation. It's like, they want to help out the contractor because they know that they're not going to be responsible for all of their business. So it pretty makes sense to put some business their way. So you have to kind of gauge it a bit. There's no guarantee. It is a competitive environment, but the thing that gives you the best chance is to kind of go out there and just rub shoulders with people on the ground in a social environment if you can, and see how far you get. Hope that helps, Kathy.
Okay, B, another question from B this evening. My thing has been conversions, barns, etc., refurb, but I want to go into new builds. Okay, have you done any recordings on the process from beginning to end that I can go to? Yeah, we've done lots of recordings from beginning to end, but it's actually that's how we teach people. So yeah, on our full program. But what I would say, B, there lots of stuff on YouTube, lots of discussions with lots of guests and stuff. So go back and absorb some of that sort of back catalogue of YouTube, and there is indeed a podcast. There is nothing specifically that I would say on an end-to-end of new build that is on there as a recording. One of the problems I would say though, and I know you're saying you've done refurbs, but I want to go into new builds, and I'd go to you, B, why? Why do you want to do new builds? Does that mean you want to go and find sites and get planning? Okay, is that what you're trying to do? You want to go and get planning permission on sites? If you are, I'd say why? Because that's difficult. So you have said yes. B said yes. I wonder if I get an answer. B, don't do that. Okay, don't do. B, look, the planning system in this country is broken. The planning system is a mess. If you start going down that road of trying to do, I don't know, 3 or 4 projects, 5 projects, houses, whatever, on a site, trying to get planning permission, it's hard work. It's hard work. You're just going to struggle with it. You just don't know whether you're going to get planning, how long you're going to be there, what conditions they're going to put at you. Okay. And of course, okay, when you get there, there is always the problem of you've got to get out of the ground. So that's in itself is an interesting one, but you can offset that against the refurb and problems that you might find. B, the answer, and I don't know how you said you've done some barns and refurbs, permitted development, and understanding how to do permitted development right properly, permitted development right schemes properly, is the way forward for new developers. You are cutting out a huge amount of risk, a huge amount of problems that you just don't need, that you're going to get with sites. So today, I told you I had a lunch today, and I was with a developer there today who was on my table. And he was talking about some sites they've been working on for 18 months and still haven't got planning. 5 units, 6 units, okay? And I said, why are you doing all that? He did not understand permitted development rights. He went, oh, we don't really understand that stuff. So we just do new build. And he said, but it's really difficult finding land. Yeah, so it is difficult. And you might go, I will tell you what, Richie, I'm going to find a site that's got planning permission in place. Even worse, because someone else has taken the uplift out of it, they've taken the money out of it, and probably you've only won it because you got your prices wrong. B, I'd really strongly suggest that you don't do new builds as a start-out developer. Now, you're not necessarily start out, you've done some stuff. We do have students doing new build, but there are pitfalls with it. So what our job is to try and guide people down the right road. I've been in this industry 40 years. It's about not trying to rah say it's all wonderful and it's such an easy thing to do. I want to tell you the truth. This is what Property CEO is about here. This is what Open Doors is about. It's like no fluff. It's just the truth. You're going to get it as it is. It is much easier. Just stick with permitted development rights. Understand how to do them. You are going to be far more successful with that. So B, hopefully that helps. Honest answer. Please don't get upset. Hopefully that helps. Ian.
Got one here from Sadie. Hi, Sadie. How can I get the money to do a small-scale property development? Okay, sort of in summary, you've got the money that you need to purchase the asset. So if you're going to do a conversion, then yeah, you're buying a shop or an office or whatever. Then typically a commercial lender will lend you up to 70% of that, leaving you to fund the remaining 30. And then you've got the other part, which is the development finance, and that's what you need, the money you need to convert the building into flats. And they'll lend you, the same lender will lend you 100% of that. So that just leaves you to find the 30% deposit. But this one is one of the big differences between development and kind of like a rental, like a buy-to-let model, is that you are able to use private finance to fund the bulk of that deposit. So basically what it does is it kind of means that the amount of money that you potentially need to put in personally is dramatically reduced, because you're leveraging both quite a lot of commercial finance, the 70% plus 100%, and you're able to get private finance, private investment for a lot of the deposit as well. So it makes a big difference in terms of the cost of entry. And typically in the market, I would say that private investors would be expecting to get a sort of circa 8 to 10% return, which is why they quite like getting involved in development funding, because yeah, where else can you get 8 to 10% return at the moment? There's slightly more to it than that, but as you can imagine, yeah, it's from a funding perspective, it does pay quite well in development. So yeah, that's how the kind of funding all goes together. Hope that helps.
Okay, next question. Is there something on their websites to look for? I think this is contractors' websites. Well, I think it's all the things we talked about. The team, I talked about, have they got competent site managers? Have they got construction managers? Have they got buyers? Have they got an accounts team? Have a look at the team on the website. That's really important. What is the owner? I mean, have they got a website? And the owners on there, the directors of that business, are they on there with their trousers with the pockets on, and a ruler and pencils, or are they actually look like they're suited and booted? Those sort of things are a dead giveaway. They might talk about insurances, and of course, most of their websites show are going to have past projects. So look on there for past projects. Is it the sort of scale project that you are doing? If it's not, then you're not going to bother, okay? Because even if they got ambitions to step up to it, you don't want to be the guinea pig. You don't want to be the first one. So you're really looking for a mirror looking back at you on their website of everything that you want. All those things that we just talked about. They might, as I say, they might put their insurances on there. They might talk about their team. You might see how organized they are. So you'll see everything on there. So that's what we should do. Ian, should we pick one more? Do you want to do one more question, and then we'll have to go home, because my wife will be calling otherwise.
Oh, well, was she? Okay, I'll try and make this a quick one. So one from Ricky. Hi, Ricky. I don't think I would be that confident in telling a main contractor what to do. What's the best way to get over this? Okay, so it kind of goes back to the whole project manager thing, really. So basically, yeah, you are, it's really going back to taking that kind of sitting as the CEO, sitting in the background. Yeah, for sure, you're the most important in many respects, because you're the entrepreneur that's making all these things happen, but you don't want to be the person that is having to manage a main contractor and tell them what to do. That is the project manager's job. The project manager will have heard it all before and is going to be very, very familiar with making sure, I mean, their job is to make sure that the project goes according to plan. So they will be able to, they're armed with that knowledge, talk to the contractor, talk to the design team, make sure everything is going swimmingly, and you're then not exposed. You don't have to have those tough conversations on site about what's happening. At the end of the day, the project manager is going to be doing that and then feeding back to you. So you're kind of trying to make it as simple as possible. And yeah, step out of those kind of situations where, yeah, if it was a smaller thing like a flip or whatever, you'd generally have to be the person that does face up to the builder or the contractor, whatever. Here, yeah, we don't want you to do that. We want you to take a much more passive role and get your project manager to earn their fee. Ricky, I hope that helps.
Good stuff. Well, look, folks, that's all we've got time for. Please, look, I did mention, I think it was Pete earlier, B, if you're interested, anyone, if you're interested, if you're new to us, if you want to come and join us completely free for a whole half day, I mean, I know that probably can't be that an exciting proposition, but potentially it will be. Come and see us, propertyceo.co.uk/SFR. Write that down, /SFR. Okay, propertyceo.co.uk/SFR. And you can come and join us for a free half day online and spend some time with us, okay? And we'll tell you what's going on. You can't physically come and spend time with us. We can't go out for dinner or anything like that. Not yet. We've got to build on the relationship first of all. If you have enjoyed tonight's show, please put it in the chat box. Ian, if you...
I loved it. Absolutely fun.
Oh, good. You froze then. One of us froze. Please, yeah, put your comments in the chat box if you've liked it. Next week, we're back on Thursday the 24th at 7 o'clock. What do people say? Monica says... thanks, Ian and Richie. Good, solid advice as always. And I'm sure Mrs. C will be looking forward to seeing the new hairdo. Do you know, Monica, just as an aside, before we wrap up the show, it's amazing how this works, because when I don't notice Mrs. C's had a haircut, I'm in trouble. When I go in tonight, I bet you she won't say anything. And I'll be sat down for about half hour and I go, haircut? No. She'll go, yeah, that looks nice.
I think she'll notice the radical restyling that you've had, to be honest, tonight. I'm pretty sure.
I look good. Anyway, so Monica, thank you for that. B says, where are you? Well, I'm here in the studio, B. What's it got to do with you? Oh, I'll do that. I think she wants to know where we are. Well, we're based in Hampshire, B, but we train all nationally across the country. But yeah, come and join us on the SFR. I think she said she's going to do that. Dan Nelson says, not Dan Nelson, no, it's Dan Nelson actually. Great show as always. I don't normally mention his name. Cheers, says Cheryl. Thank you very much. Very interesting, says B. Jonathan says, great show, thanks. Quite right, says Monica. Oh, that's to do with my haircut. Pete says, love the show. Chen says, great evening. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Looking forward to seeing you next week. Chen, looking forward to seeing you next week as well. Good night now. See you. Have a great weekend. Cheers. Bye-bye.